Hi, friends, and welcome back to Slash Sisters, or welcome to Slash Sisters if this is your first time here. I'm Slash Sister Jen.
And I guess that makes me Slash Sister Hallie, and we want to thank you for coming back to our channel, or welcome you, as she just said, to our channel, True Horror Movie Reviews by True Horror Movie Fans.
That's it.
I'll get there.
So if you're a big fan of horror, like we are, make sure you slash that subscribe button, and because we're here with a brand new video every single Friday, and sometimes even more than that.
Sometimes, occasionally. Today we're going to delve back into one of the most iconic and recognizable franchises in the horror world. However, it is not recognizable in this one.
Not at all. Not at all. Today we are going to take a look at Friday the 13th Part 2. The one with Baghead Jason. The one that pretty much makes absolutely no sense in correspondence to the first one.
But does set up the rest of the franchise nicely.
It really does. It really does. So why don't we go ahead and get into it?
Well, okay.
All right.
I mean, we start our story off 2 months after the murders at Camp Crystal Lake in 1980.
Right.
So, still 1980. We have a sole survivor, Alice Hardy, who is recovering from her traumatic experience. And we get a full-on movie recap with about, I think I clocked it at like 7 minutes of footage from one.
Yeah, this movie's only an hour and a half long. Actually, I think it's like an hour 27 minutes long.
So it's an hour and 20 minutes long.
It's actually an hour and 20 minutes long with 7-minute recap at the beginning of the movie. So, yeah, that's fine. But that's okay, because I love a fast-paced horror movie that gets, don't get me wrong, I do love a slow down,
I like a slow burn psychological
I love
horror.
a slow burn psychological horror. But, God, there is something about that hour and a half, that 90-minute slash them through type of movie, and this is definitely one of those. So, in her apartment, when Alice, after she wakes up from her little dream sequence, she talks to her mom on the phone, and she goes to open the refrigerator, and inside of her refrigerator is the head of Pamela Voorhees. And then she's promptly stabbed in the side of the face with an ice pick. So that's the end of Alice Hardy.
Why bring her back for 5 minutes? Not even 5 minutes and then kill her off. It makes no fucking sense.
From what I understand, she had no script, nothing. They were like, she showed up and they were like, so just walk around the apartment and, kind of act like you're recovering from trauma.
And are we led to believe that Jason was the one that fucking killed her too?
I mean, with his mom's head in the fridge? Yeah.
But why did he leave the camp?
And what I don't why did he leave the camp? How did he become this big man when 2 months ago he was a 13-year-old boy falling under the water? None of it makes any fucking sense. It really doesn't. But I guess we don't really find out that it's Jason until later in the movie.
Right. No,
not technically, right. I guess. But really, I mean, we know it's Jason. It's his mom's head was
it has to be Jason.
There's nobody else that it could be.
Right.
Anyways, carrying on.
5 years later, Paul Holt has opened up a school for camp counselors on the shore of Camp Crystal Lake. Well, this is going to end well.
Yeah, because, as Ralph says,
you're all doomed. You're all doomed.
He tries to warn those kids before they even go out to the camp that is not Crystal Lake, but is on the lake.
Gotta love the horror trope of the Harbinger.
Oh, the Harbinger. The camp is attended by Sandra and her boyfriend, Jeff, Scott, Terry, the wheelchair-bound Mark, Vicky, Ted, and Paul's assistant, Ginny. As well as a lot of other trainees, but they don't really give names for any of the other ones. They're just kind of red shirts in the back.
Red shirts.
I said it.
Nice Star Trek reference.
Thank you.
Around the campfire that night, Paul tells the counselors the legend of Jason Voorhees, a boy who drowned at Camp Crystal Lake in 1957.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
Okay.
So, we are technically in 1985.
Right.
So this is 30 years prior.
Right.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
So that would make him a 30-something man, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Sending his vengeful mother on 2 separate killing sprees.
Right.
In 1958 and again in 1979.
Yes.
Until she was eventually beheaded by Alice Hardy at the end of one in self-defense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I love that sequence with the hairy Knuckles.
Oh, I know! Because we know whose Knuckles those are.
Yeah.
It's Tom Sweet.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
case you didn't know. It's Tom. It's our favorite. Anyways, according to the legend, Jason survived and is now living in the woods. I guess this is how they kind of like changed Jason's story by like giving him a new lore that has been told for the last 5 years and like creating this like mystical lore behind him.
But the thing that I have the biggest problem with is if he survived drowning as a child,
Right.
why didn't he go back to his mom? He was a mama's boy.
Exactly. And why was he just 5 years ago a 13-year-old boy still
Exactly.
pulling out of the water?
Anywho, as Paul finishes the story, a man with a spear scares everyone. Jump scare. But it's revealed to be Ted wearing a mask. Paul reassures everyone that Jason is dead and that Camp Crystal Lake is now condemned and off limits.
Off limits to everyone, including the counselors.
Yeah, like they're teenage counselors. Like, you think they're gonna listen to him?
Of course not. That night, Crazy Ralph wanders onto the property. I really think he's just trying to look out for these kids. I mean, he's a loon, but
Honestly, you look at it like back then and he's like crazy, but you
absolutely.
look at it now and he's
I'm
literally
like, dude,
trying to
he was
help
the
them.
only one trying to keep these kids from opening that place up. Anyways, he wanders onto the property and is garroted from behind, like around a tree, by an unseen killer. Which is sad because I love Ralph. I just do. I think he's so funny.
Roll do.
Anyways.
The following day, Jeff and Sandra sneak off to Camp Crystal Lake to find a dog carcass that looks freshly killed.
Yeah.
Before getting caught by Deputy Winslow and returning to the camp.
Yeah, they kind of got in trouble by Winslow. But then when they got back,
They got a fucking slap
not
on the wrist.
even
Come
a
on.
slap on the wrist. I mean, basically they were like, okay, you guys can't go out to the bars later.
Right. They're fucking teenagers. They shouldn't be going to a bar anyway.
Exactly.
This is
Later,
the 70s.
well, there was a period of time in the 70s when it was legal to drink when you were 18.
I know. I said it's not the 70s. This is
Right,
85.
this is the 80s. Right, yeah. My mom was, like, allowed to drink for, like, 6 months, and then the law changed. She was, like, 19 years old, and the law changed, and she wasn't allowed to drink for 2 years. Anyways, later, Winslow spots a man wearing a burlap sack mask running across the road. It was our guy Jason. Well, we don't know that it was Jason yet.
No, but
Officially.
I mean, we know.
We know. Winslow chases him into the woods and finds a shack. That shack. Woo! Inside the shack, the man is killed by, Winslow is killed by the man with a hammer claw. But yeah, inside the shack we see a lot of interesting things. Not a whole lot of bodies piling up yet, but we'll get back to that place yet.
Oh yeah, definitely. Back at camp, Paul offers the others one last night in town before training begins. 6 of them
Except for the 2 that snuck off to camp.
6 of them stay behind, including Jeff and Sandra, who were
Right.
forced to stay behind as punishment.
Right,
There's
right.
their slap on the wrist
Darn it.
for sneaking off to Camp Crystal Lake, or
Right.
or as we know it, Camp Blood.
Right, and they call it that in the film a couple times too. So at the bar, Ginny, who is a psychology major, right? Like, don't they reference that a couple different times?
I think they use that as like justification for her,
thinking
like this,
coming up with these theories.
Whatever.
Right, whatever. I'm
Whatever.
sure that was a last second thing that they threw in, but at the bar, Ginny muses that
He must have seen his mother get killed, and all just because she loved him.
it may have left him with no distinction between life and death or right and wrong. Or at least that's what she says.
That's what she says. Paul dismisses the idea, proclaiming Jason is nothing but an urban legend. I mean, he seems to be from this area. I think that he would at least know the
About
whole
the murders.
legend, like
Yeah.
of well, not even just the murders, but like the fact that Jason did drown or
Right.
allegedly drown
Right.
30 years ago and all
Right.
this other stuff. So
Right. Meanwhile, the bag-headed assailant makes his descent upon the camp and begins killing all the counselors left and right, one at a time. Well, mostly one at a time.
mostly. Scott has his throat slit with a machete whilst caught in a tight rope trap.
Yeah,
Sorry, not
he
tight
got
rope.
his ankle caught in a trap, and then the girl ran off. Yeah, girl ran off to go and try to save him,
And Terry is killed off screen upon finding Scott's dead body.
yeah. I hate off-screen deaths. They make me mad.
Off-screen deaths have taught us one thing and one thing only, and I
That
will
they're
be
not dead.
that they're not dead.
except I guess in this case.
Well, I mean, you know, if you don't see them die, you don't know for sure that they're dead.
Yeah.
Because they can, and sometimes do, bring said characters back in sequels.
That's true. That's true. Mark has a machete slammed into his face. Mark is the one that's in the wheelchair. And he's like wheeling around out on the porch, and the machete just, I mean, this effect was really good.
No,
it was so good.
It was good.
The way that it went into him, and then like they tumble, and the way it looks, there's like an actual stunt person. It does not look like a dummy.
I don't know if it's a stunt person or not, but I mean, they have to cut away because at one point it hit the rail and it was going to tip over, and that's when they cut it.
Right. Yeah. So the wheelchair goes all the way down the stairs, and with him with the machete in his face, and it's probably my favorite kill in the whole movie.
Yeah, definitely. The killer then moves upstairs and impales Jeff and Sandra, who were with a spear as they have sex, then stabs Vicky to death with a kitchen knife.
Yeah, so like when I said like they killed them off one at a time, mostly. You know, we got kind of the repeat of like the Kevin Bacon kill from the first one.
But
came
from the other side.
Yeah. It was definitely that's a fun kill too.
No,
I mean, the look on her face, the look on Sandra's face.
It's not as good as what Kevin Bacon does in the first, though.
No, absolutely not. Ted stays behind at the bar while Ginny and Paul, Ted's the gangly, silly one. He's the one that jumped out and scared everyone with mask at the campfire scene. Yeah, I mean, and he like remains safe because he stays at the bar.
We assume.
Excuse me. Yes,
he remains safe.
That's true. So he stays behind, and Ginny and Paul return to camp to find the place in complete disarray.
Oh, and mind you, it's pouring fucking rain at this point. Because it always is pouring fucking rain at Camp Crystal Lake.
It's got to be.
In the dark, the killer ambushes Paul.
Paul, there's someone in this room. Paul, there's someone in this fucking room!
And continues to chase Ginny throughout the camp and into the woods, where she comes across the shack.
Uh-huh.
And we're not talking about the love shack either.
No, baby. No love shack here.
Mm.
After barricading herself inside, she finds an altar with Pamela Voorhees' head and her sweater, and
if it has been 5 years, why is there still flesh on that fucking head?
I mean, he's been keeping it refrigerated at least sometimes.
No.
I mean, it was in the beginning of the movie. I mean, come on. Anyways,
you think there's electricity in that shack? Come on.
No, there's absolutely not. I don't know. It's kind of mummified. I mean, the skin has kind of shrinked out.
No, it definitely has.
How he mummified it, I don't know. Good conditions at Crystal Lake, apparently.
Or to the lake water itself.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's probably where he found the head, was in the water, you know. But yeah, it's like her sweater's there. Like different items, like some dried flowers and stuff like that.
Did he pull the sweater off her dead corpse?
I'm assuming. I don't know. I mean, but yeah, the sweater is there. And then, like all of the bodies of the counselors have been piled up around the altar.
And the cop, too, I think.
And the cop, yep, the cop is there, too.
Realizing that Jason Voorhees is, in fact, the killer, just...
Ding, ding, ding!
You know.
There he is.
Ginny puts on Pamela's sweater. In some
Again,
attempt
this psychology major thing.
Right. And tries to convince Jason that she is his mother.
Jason, Mother is talking to you!
Psychologically.
Yeah. And
because
then we do get a little cameo from
Betsy
Palmer, where I think they went to her house and put a black screen behind her and recorded it because she was like, I'm not going out of my way to be in this movie.
Well, she didn't want to do
the
first
one.
Yeah,
you want me, you come to me.
She didn't even want to do the only reason why she did the first one is because she needed a fucking car.
Yep. Her car broke down. She was like, yeah, I guess I'll do it. The ruse briefly works. Just long enough for her to distract him, and then Jason sees his mother's head on the altar and it awakens him from the trance.
Paul suddenly returns and tries to save Ginny, but Jason incapacitates him.
Yeah, he just kind of like throws him to the side.
Yeah, right.
Which, I mean, Jason's a big motherfucker. Even in this movie, he's pretty huge. So, I'm gonna give him that.
Just as Jason is about to kill Paul with a pickaxe, Ginny picks up the machete and slams it down into Jason's shoulder, seemingly killing him.
So we think.
Yeah.
So we think. Paul and Ginny then go back to the cabin. And they hear someone outside, thinking that Jason has followed them. They open the door, and it's Terry's dog Muffin that's been missing.
The fucking dog that they've been calling for the entire goddamn movie.
I know, I thought that dog was dead for sure.
No shit.
Oh my gosh. But there she came back in the third reel.
Mm-hmm. And just as they breathe a sigh of relief, an unmasked Jason bursts through a window from behind and grabs Ginny.
And man, is he gnarly looking.
Oh, he's fugly.
He
Okay,
is. He
fugly.
is. This is the only time that we see Jason with, like, hair. Most of the rest of the time, his hair is, like, there's some stringy hair there.
It's actually the only time we see Jason unmasked as an adult. Period.
No, I mean, you do see
A
him
lot
couple
when he's
of
alive.
times. Yes.
When he's alive.
Yes, exactly.
When he's alive.
Exactly.
Let me rephrase that.
So yeah, she then awakens, being loaded into an ambulance, and calls out for Paul, who is nowhere to be seen, leaving his fate unknown, because we never really saw him get killed. So yeah. But not like it matters.
No. We then, for some unforeseen reason, go back to the shack, and we have a slow pan in on what is Pamela's heads as it remains on the altar, but Jason is nowhere to be found. Honestly, the very first time I watched this, and I'm talking like 20 plus years ago, I actually expected her eyes to open.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, we kind of, Jason, if we look at it this way, Jason is kind of a zombie. He becomes an actual zombie.
He becomes
later.
a zombie after, what is it, 4?
Yeah.
Well, because
Jason
6.
lives.
6.
Yeah.
6 is when he becomes a zombie.
Yes. Okay. So, I don't know. I mean, this whole movie's a freaking mess.
It's a mess. It's a great franchise.
It's a great
Love the
mess.
franchise.
It's not my favorite in the franchise. It's a fun watch every once in a while. Like I said, it's a quick 90 minutes.
It's still better than 5.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Or 7.
Do we need to do a ranking video soon?
Yes,
I
we
think
do.
we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think that was just decided.
Mm-hmm.
Next ranking video is gonna be Friday the 13th. All right, so be prepared for that. That's coming for you. But that's where we leave the story with Jason for now, at least. And next time we get to see him, he will have that iconic mask, and we will get to see it come into play. So stay tuned, because we will be covering that somewhat soon.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we
it's
did
on our roster.
say we were going to get into more sequels the rest this year. So
we're getting into the sequels this year.
You know, all in all said and done, I do give it a bloody machete up because it moves the franchise forward, not in a logical way, but in a way that they can continue making films.
There was no logical way to have a sequel to the first one. Mm-hmm. That's why Tom Savini was like, "Nah, I don't want no part of that." That's why
he went off and did The Burning.
Mm-hmm. That's why, Cunningham, Sean S. Cunningham was like, "Not really want anything to do with this either." We told the story. The story's done, you know?
But Sean did come back for more.
He did. I mean,
and
they all came back for more.
Yep.
They all came back for more once they realized that it was going somewhere interesting. Really, the first movie definitely doesn't correlate well with the rest of the story. This movie does a really, really, really
shitty way of introducing it.
It tries really, really, really hard to make it work and make us understand why Jason's now our killer. It still doesn't make any damn sense to me, but it's still a bloody machete up for me because we do need it. It's what propels us into an actual franchise.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, bloody machete up for me too.
2. Bloody machetes up from us to you. And we are going to send this straight back to New Jersey, I believe, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Get out of here!
Alright, what do you want to do next? Should we do something a little bit newer? I do want to do something newer.
How about we go international again?
I do that. You know...
And ironically, it's the same country of our country.
I know, those people over in Australia know what they're doing.
They apparently seem to know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. They know how to get me, at least.
Okay, alright.
Jason, you're gonna have to move, because you're in the way, buddy.
You're blocking my shot!
We'll put you over there with Freddy in just a minute. It can be Freddy versus Jason. Eventually we'll get you a mask to a proper one. Anyways.
I love how she talks to inanimate objects.
I talk to my kids all day long. I can talk to inanimate objects, no problem. They don't listen to me. I talk to them.
That is very true. I'm just.
Talk to me! Talk to me. Yes. I am very excited to review this one. This movie made me feel
I was like, I don't know how I feel about the film, but come back here in 1 week's time when we talk about it, and we will actually have a special guest co-hosting with us.
I'm excited for you guys to see who our new guest co-host will be, because this person is awesome and you guys are going to love him.
So come back here in 1 week's time.
Yes, please do. But until then, make sure you slash that subscribe button.
Stab that like button.
And ring the bell so you don't get buried alive and you keep up to date with all our new videos. And until then, we will see you all
In the afterlife.